Discipleship in first century Israel was a full-time, 24/7 commitment. If you were called by a rabbi as a disciple, your chief aim, your driving goal is to become just like him. So you would go where your rabbi went, absorb everything he knew, listen to the way that he interacted with people, the way he interpreted scripture, so that you could become his carbon copy, just like your rabbi. In fact, there was this blessing that disciples would give one another. May you be covered in the dust of your rabbi. In a landscape that is sandy and dusty and you're wearing sandals, the idea is may you be following your rabbi so closely that the dust that his sandals kicks up throughout the day lands on you. Because by following him closely, you will become just like him. That's the concept of discipleship. In our reading for today, Jesus is encountering several people who want to follow him, but I don't think they're bought into what discipleship actually means, this 24/7 commitment. They come to Jesus offering to follow him, but with conditions, with caveats. There are certain limits to their discipleship. They want to fit it into the existing structure of their own life. And Jesus' response to them is a little bit provocative. He kind of gets under my skin here, but I think that maybe it's a good thing. There's some context to the way that he answers them that you can find in our weekly email, but bottom line, I need Jesus to get under my skin in this passage because I can relate to these people who are coming to Jesus and wanting to fit discipleship into their lives and to make their own conditions, to give Jesus terms for this arrangement. They have comfort zones they're not willing to go out of, limits that they're not willing to go past. And don't I do the same? Maybe you do the same too. Maybe we need Jesus to get under our skin and to remind us, friend, I want you to follow me. But I also want you to know that when you decide to follow me, what I am asking for is your whole self, your whole life, your whole being, all of your days. Will you give me that? My heading in the ESV version is the cost of following Jesus. And I want you to pay attention to this theme that Matthew is starting here and going to introduce multiple times as we continue to read through this gospel. Matthew wants us to know that there is a cost to following Jesus, that he is asking for our whole selves, our whole lives. There is a disciple of Jesus named Dietrich Bonhoeffer who wrote a book called The Cost of Discipleship. He was a German theologian and pastor who lived during the rise of the Nazi regime. And his understanding of what it meant to follow Jesus led him to resist the Nazis, free many Jewish people, and he ended up in prison and being murdered for it. And he writes about discipleship as what he calls costly grace, that we receive the gift of grace and salvation and forgiveness from God, and we offer back the gift of our lives. This is what he says. Costly grace is the treasure hidden in the field. For the sake of it, a man will go and sell all that he has. It is the pearl of great price to buy which the merchant will sell all his goods. Such grace is costly because it calls us to follow. It is grace because it calls us to follow Jesus Christ. It is costly because it costs a man his life. And it is grace because it gives a man the only true life. Listen to that. It is costly because it costs a man his life. It is grace because it gives a man the only true life. Another disciple of Jesus who was imprisoned and then martyred for his discipleship is the Apostle Paul. And in Philippians 3, he writes something similar, that compared to everything else that he values in his life, following Jesus surpasses it all. Knowing Jesus is of surpassing worth. Nothing compares to knowing and loving him and being known and loved by him. And so as we continue through the Gospel of Matthew, he does not want us to be deceived. There is a cost to following Jesus, because when this rabbi asks us to follow him, he wants our whole lives and our whole selves. And hopefully none of us will end up imprisoned or martyred for making any such sacrifice like that. But it will cost us something. It won't be trivial. It won't be insignificant. It won't be easy. It might cost us our egos, our comfort zones. Sacrificing by going to people that we don't want to go to, loving people we don't want to love, doing things we don't want to do. So may we not be deceived about the cost. But as we read about this King Jesus, may we also be assured again and again that knowing him and being loved by him is worth all of it. He is far more than worth what he asks for. His love is of surpassing worth. I pray you'll experience that today. Take care.